Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you so much. My name is Grace, and I'd like to welcome you to our home. I'm the professor's wife, and just wanted to give a few words of background and welcome you. This is a really special session. We were in contact with Marta. We know that you were studying the professor's book, The Great Theft, for a year. And so when Marta came and asked us if it would be okay to do a Q&A, we were very happy to do that because we actually have, often hold sessions with students, and, we felt this was a really special session, especially because you're, converts and from this community. I think that, I'm a convert myself, so I have a very special passion for making sure that people are exposed to the beauty of the tradition, from a scholar, from a very early time, because I think it really affects your experience. So we were really happy to be able to hold this session here. And one of the most beautiful things that I learned, I actually converted before I met the professor. So, I'm proud to always say that I kind of came to the faith on my own and not through marriage or any other means. But one of the things that was really beautiful that the professor said to me when shortly after we met is that there's no embarrassment in religion and that you can ask any question. And so I really wanted to convey that to you here because I know there's so much misinformation and there's a lot of embarrassment when it comes to asking difficult questions about anything. So there's no limit, no matter how crazy, how, anything. Feel free to ask any question. And this is really intended to just be a Q&A. So it's not just for questions related to the book, but anything under the sun. We actually, I was mentioning to someone here that we are working on starting a Islamic think tank, and we're going to start holding more sessions like this. So we're sort of happy to greet you in our new kind of, environment where we're kind of testing out. But the other thing is we really wanted you to see and experience the library, because this is kind of what makes, this is what's been sort of forgotten about our tradition, is the whole intellectual heritage and how much thought was produced. And the professor has a very special book called The Search for Beauty in Islam, a conference of the books. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a really lovely book that talks about stories for Muslims in America, people coming to the Sheikh and asking questions about problems that they have, on every issue, from marriage to dealing with, parents to racism, whatever. And the premise is that he takes the problem and convenes a conference late at night with the intellects in his library. And this is that library. So the idea that every book is an intellect preserved for all of eternity, and based on the idea that God is beautiful and God loves beauty, and trying to determine what is the most beautiful way to solve whatever problem is at hand, because searching for the divine, you search for the most beautiful way. So we wanted you to feel like this is that library full of beauty, seeking the divine and seeking the beautiful. So it's kind of a very powerful visual, and when we tell people we have a lot of books, they think we have a few bookshelves, and they really can't imagine it until they actually see it. So we wanted you to see it and feel it. So anyway, we're hoping also that maybe we could learn a little bit about each of you, if you don't mind going around the room and telling us a little bit about yourself, and just, anything you want to share, and if there is anything, and what you'd like to learn from this session. With that.
I'm just going to translate very briefly.
Oh, sorry.
Briefly. Grace es la esposa del doctor Khaled Abou El Fadl. Ellos están muy contentos de que nosotros estamos aquí. También ellos saben que nosotros leemos el libro del Gran Robo por un año, y que Sayed fue nuestro tutor, y también dicen que esta sesión es muy especial para ellos porque ellos han tenido sesiones aquí con otros grupos de diferentes razas, y pues nosotros como latinos musulmanes pues somos el primer grupo aquí. También muy importante que no hay timidez ni sentirse pena o sentirse mal de que su pregunta no vaya a ser interesante. Usted pregunte, ese es el momento de preguntar, no importa que usted piensa que es cualquier pregunta o que no tiene importancia, su pregunta es muy importante. Entonces también vamos a pasar a que cada quien se va a presentar, va a decir quién es, cómo se llama, tal vez cuántos años tiene de practicar el Islam y qué es lo que le gustaría aprender de esta sesión. So we can start interviewing from the person who does not want to. Okay. So we can start from there.
This is our center.
Sharif Abou El Fadl, I'm a professor's son and now full-time employee of the Islamic think tank that we're getting started, and it's an honor to be here and meet all of them.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Veronica and I'm Salvadorian. I have been Muslim almost for 3 years and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, forgive me for my voice, but I'm sick. Thank you for having us over here. And I'm from El Salvador. My name is Patricia Lopez and I'm here to learn more about Islam. And I'm
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rosemary Cabero. I converted to Islam in 2010. It's been a journey, learning and unlearning things that I've learned from the past. And just what I would like to get from this session here today is how to identify, I guess, what we have been learning through the book, but how to identify just the Puritans from what Islam is and what isn't. And I think we get a little confused with that, especially learning from other Muslims who we just don't really practice or just say stuff for their own interests.
Hi, well, my name is Carla and I have 32 months of converting Islam. So over here I'm planning to learn a little bit more and little by little it's going to be a journey. Así que that's it. Mi nombre es Rocío Zambrano, soy mexicana y tengo 5 años de haberme convertido al Islam.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aja Fee. I've been a practicing Muslim for about 36 years. I'm Haja, and I'm very delighted to be here because I feel that I'm in a place where I can definitely learn more, and there's always more to learn in Islam. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Marta Hadija Felicitas Calidari, and the purpose to translate the book of Dr. Khaled Abou El Fadl, The Great Theft, was to direct the new Muslim, the brand new person who joins Islam, directing to a moderate way of thinking and practicing Islam. And so I think we are going to accomplish that with the help of the book, with the tutoring of Syed, and today with Dr. Khaled Abou El Fadl session. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Mi nombre es Estela Durán. Tengo un poquito más de 5 años en el Islam. Y para mí ha sido bien importante este libro porque me ha esclarecido algunas dudas, sobre todo de los puritanos y los conservadores, que vienen siendo los... Y al principio también cuando lo que Dios quería de nosotros, Alá, a mí me cambió mucho mi manera de pensar de antes, porque yo decía, ¿cómo no? Esto que estoy aprendiendo ahorita no lo escuché hace 5 años atrás cuando yo empecé el Islam. Desde entonces yo hubiera aprendido más rápido sobre el camino del Islam.
So I'm going to translate what Estelita said. So Estelita, her name is Estela Duran, and she became a Muslim more than 5 years ago. The book that we translated in Spanish clarified the doubts that she had on who is a Puritan and who is a moderate person. Also, she learned for the first time what Allah wants from us. She said if she would have learned that 5 years ago, would have been different, but when she started but now she had clarification on that aspect. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, my name is Judith Aquino and I'm glad to be here to learn, and thank you so much for the invitation. And like I say, we have to learn every day because we become Muslims, and we did not learn Islam, we find Islam in the way.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Syed Rizwan and I'm a student of Professor Abou El Fadl, and I had the pleasure of discussing the book with my fellow Muslims here, and it was very special because I got a chance to learn a lot from the book and to give voice to it, and I hope I did it justice on the part of the professor. And so it's a very special day today.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Adit Ahmad Bastaman. I'm originally from Indonesia, and I feel privileged to be here invited by LAMLA because I'm quite an admirer of Professor Fadl. I think he's one of the greatest scholars in the United States that is actually relevant regarding things in Islamic world today, in US or across the globe.
So hello everyone, my name is Malcolm Vivian and I converted to Islam in January or February of 2001. And I'm happy to be here because I mentioned to the professor when I arrived that when I first became Muslim, I didn't really know that much about Islam, honestly. I just knew that it was true for me. But there was a television show called the American Muslim Hour that used to come on the international channel. And there were a few times where the professor was interviewed on this show. And so this was one of the mechanisms through which I began to learn about Islam. And he asked me, and I'll answer the question now, like what were some of the things being talked about? It was a while ago, and actually, basically it's going to be, I think, or it was some of the things that we're going to be talking about today, Islamic jurisprudence and, the relevance of, or modern Islam and, these more of conservative or extremist views of Islam and understanding the difference between the two. So happy to be here and looking forward to getting started with the conversation.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone. Of course, I am here to answer your questions. I don't have anything in mind. The Great Theft, I wrote The Great Theft because I felt that contemporary Muslims, modern Muslims, living Muslims, it's so easy for them to think that the Islam that came out of Najd in the past century, the Islam of Najd, which took over Hijaz and Arabia and had a lot of petrodollars. It's very easy to think that that is the Islam that has been since the Prophet ﷺ. And that's historically inaccurate and theologically a very big problem, because the Islam of Najd is a very recent phenomena, and I think it's a phenomena that will not survive into Islamic history. I mean, 100 or a couple of hundred years from now, I think the Islam of Najd will be forgotten. The Islam that I talk about in The Great Theft is the Islam not just taught by the Prophet Muhammad, but the Islam taught by the Prophet Ibrahim, والسلام, and all the Abrahamic prophets, Moses, Jesus, Joseph, and so on and so forth, until the Prophet Muhammad. it is not just a faith, it is the meaning of life. It is whether a human being is anchored in meaning, has meaning, whether a human being exists in this world full of speculative thoughts and ponderings, or a certain a sense of certitude that where they come from and where they're going to, and what the purpose of our existence is as human beings. You either believe you are an accident, a biological phenomena, or you believe you carry the breath of God in you, that you are the breath of God. And if you are the breath of God, then you are adorned in dignity. You are entitled to dignity. You walk in dignity and you die in dignity. And that's the essence of what Islam is about. Anything that takes away from human dignity, anything that oppresses a human being, anything that degrades a human being, anything that makes a human being enslaved before another human being, that's completely at odds with what Islam is. And that's why Muslims were not, although they had a very charismatic leader, Muhammad, Prophet, he didn't kill their individuality. He augmented it. He made their individuality a million times more powerful. And that's why when he died, they didn't all stay next to his graveside crying. They spread around the world. And each one of them became an ambassador to Islam on his own. And that's why also, before colonialism, wherever Muslims went, they were known to be the most dignified human beings, the most humane human beings, as merchants, as traders, as even in places that they militarily defeated, you find that they spread culture. They don't become something like Spanish colonialism where they go in and destroy native individual expressions. They actually embraced everything they found. Of course, because we're dealing with human beings and some Muslims are good, some Muslims are not, but the core idea of Islam is not just from the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It's from the same message again and again and again from Allah to Ibrahim, the Prophet, to all the line of Abrahamic prophets. And that's why you in the Quran, it consistently refers to all the prophets as Muslims. And in fact, those who, the expression Islam itself, the Quran tells us it was the Prophet Ibrahim who was Malcolm al-Muslimin. He's the one that called you Muslims. There is a historiography, there is an etymology to the word Muslim, and it is much older than the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So it is, and that's a much bigger issue. I mean, in Aramaic, the early Christians before the Council of Nicaea, which decided on the Trinity of Jesus and so on, even the Christians themselves were referred to as Muslims, or referred to themselves as Muslims, which is very interesting. But that's a very big topic. Of course, Aramaic became Hebrew, and Hebrew became Latin, and Latin became, until the King James Bible, which completely erased any reference to the followers of Jesus being Muslim. But that's a very big topic. So I'm here to you know, your any questions you have, I'm happy to address, and I'm here for at your disposal.